Hey, Fight fans, it's Michelle Joy Phelps, and I'm joined now with Eddie Hearn. Eddie, it's been a minute. I've interviewed in a while.
Why do people say that? It's been a minute.
Is that an American thing?
Totally, because obviously it's been ages. So why would you say it's been a minute? Seriously, like.
I don't know. We've always said it's been a minute. Wow, okay. Well, we're learning something new.
It's been longer than a week. Could have been a month.
Could have been longer.
Yeah, could have been longer than a month.
No, it has been longer than that.
It has, okay.
Okay.
Well, it's good to see you. Thanks for coming over.
Good to see you as well. You look tanned. Where were you?
I was in Rome last week. We had a DAZN Italy show in Rome, and I did stay out there for a cheeky weekend. So, beautiful place, and one of the benefits of doing these 8 shows with DAZN in Italy is that I'm getting to see some amazing places, and great to be taking boxing to a new territory that is underserved, and people are excited. People are sort of thankful that you're trying to make a move and a play in their country to raise the profile of the game.
Right. Well, let's get to it because I know that we're about to have the longest queue right now. So how exciting now that we can finally say that this fight is for the WBC interim title. We know that the winner of White versus Ruiz is going to go on to face either Wilder or Fury in their rematch. You're saying no later than May, June of next year?
May is the date given by the WBC.
Okay.
I'm just realistic, you know, like I know that's a paper date, so you'd hope that that was enforceable. But I also understand that if those guys are fighting in February, there is a chance that that fight might happen in June or even July. It doesn't really matter. The key is to be the mandatory challenger. And then you know it's just a case of time and waiting, which he's done a lot. But he's got this fight, then he will have a fight at the end of the year if he beats Rivas, and then he'll go straight into that fight. So he'll have Christmas and then start his camp. So I'm fine with the time frames. A lot of people saying it's a long time. Yeah, it is, but you know he's been waiting a while, but still has to beat Rivas on Saturday night.
And Ruiz isn't exactly someone that normally a fighter would want to choose to face. He's a high risk, low reward.
Both guys are. You know, no one has ever approached me to fight Dillian Whyte, right? So no other heavyweight, no other promotional company has come to me and said, would Dillian Whyte be interested in fighting this guy? So that shows you enough about the man and how difficult he is to fight. You know, Oscar Rivas, same kind of guy. Great work rate, can punch, very fit, good chin, don't stop working you over. He's not a guy you want to fight either. In fact, Bryant Jennings found that out, you know, last time they fought. So it's a fight really between 2 guys that are avoided, but just a great fight with 2 guys with a huge will to win.
Eddie, why is it taking it so long for Dillian to get his shot at the WBC title? Now, we know that Deontay will be going on to face a rematch, Luis Ortiz, first before we get on to the Fury fight. Why was that fight not made for rather than Ortiz?
Well, because Wilder has just fought his mandatory. So we're a victim, really, of the decision to make Dominic Brazil the mandatory. That should never have happened. But when he fought Wilder. So then he'd already taken care of his mandatory defence. It's not really Wilder's fault, as much as I'd like to say it was. You know, Wilder says, I just fought my mandatory. So that's why he's been given the fight against Ortiz and the Fury fight. We didn't really want him to take that, to be able to have that Fury fight, but we also understand the sport and the business. That's a big fight. The WBC want that fight to take place. So no problem. If it takes place as early enough to allow Dillian to fight in May against the winner, that's okay. So that fight would have to take place early next year, and then Dillian gets the winner. And by the way, to face the winner of that fight is a lot more lucrative just to face the winner of Wilder against Ortiz. So,
well, speaking of that,
the reason it takes 600 days is because Dominic Brazil was made mandatory. So effectively, Dillian missed that cycle, if you like. So he's waiting for the next cycle now.
So when we look at the potential of who Dillian can face, should he be successful, obviously, this Saturday night, we don't want to overlook Rivas at all, but should he be successful on Saturday, who would you prefer for Dillian to face, Wilder or Fury?
I think the Wilder fight is a brilliant fight. I think it's definitely one to watch through your fingertips, and it's a compelling fight. From a domestic point of view, the Fury fight is a great fight. I mean, Fury called White out for the WBC Diamond title, and Dillian said, "Let's go," and then Tyson said and went another route. So, again, why would Tyson Fury fight Dillian Whyte right now? You know, he's got the Deontay Wilder fight. So he's not going to fight people like Dillian White. He's going to fight people like Tom Schwartz and whoever he faces next. So
We're
Dillian...
hearing it's going to be Big Baby Miller.
I doubt that. I think Top Rank have got more respect for the sport of boxing than to put Big Baby Miller in that fight. 4 months after he failed a free drugs test for 3 separate substances. But nothing surprises me in this sport. So maybe he will be Big Baby Miller. I also don't think that Fury will fight someone like that for his next fight, because I think he knows he's fighting, and I think that's one of Top Rank's concerns with the Ortiz fight. I think Arum saying to PBC, don't fight Ortiz. Like, let's do our fight in the fall. One, because I don't want to pay Fury a load of money for an easy fight again, and 2, because you might lose to Ortiz. So I think, the Joshua Ruiz fight sort of got people a little bit nervous, saying, wow, anything can happen.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of the heavyweight division.
Now, let's talk a bit about that. Help me understand, because I often get asked this question.
Help me.
I often get asked this question, and so I want you to be able to clarify, since I know that a lot of the fight fans are curious and they tend to have a big opinion on it. When it came down to the immediate rematch clause, is it in fact in favor of Anthony Joshua that he gets to call the shots for where the next fight takes place? Because right now people are like, it should go to Andy Ruiz.
No, it shouldn't, and it won't. And when you give a fighter an opportunity to fight for a world title for a lot of money out of nowhere, and you agree and negotiate the terms of the rematch, which we did, and the promoter, i.e. me, will decide where that rematch takes place.
And that's very well embedded into the contract.
It's like standard procedure.
Right.
Like every promoter, everyone in boxing will know that that's how it works. You don't go to Andy Ruiz and say, okay, well, but you can choose where it is, mate. Like, don't worry about it. Well, I want it in Hermosillo in Mexico. It doesn't work like that. So you have to control the finances for the event. So you decide where that goes, because that's part of the revenue for the show. So all we have to do, we've already exercised the rematch clause. All we have to do is to advise them where that fight will take place.
I think people got confused because when Andy Ruiz did an interview, he's like, oh, well, right, I'm the A side. And so I think people got confused, like, well, who exactly
But I think
gets...
Andy is probably a victim sometimes of, he's got a lot of people around him now. People who know nothing about contracts. People know nothing about how boxing works, saying, yeah, Andy, you're the A side. You should make 500 million. Like, do it in Mexico. Yet the people who signed the contract, which was Andy, which was Tom Brown, and people involved in the contract, Al Heyman, they know. I'm speaking to them regularly to keep them up to speed with what's happening. They know the procedure. It's a very standard procedure. The contract's not new. The contract's not unfair. The contract was negotiated. It wasn't like, this is what you're getting for the first fight and this is what you're getting for the rematch. Tough, sign it or nothing. Both those numbers were negotiated by the team. So Andy has contractual obligations to stand by, and he will do, because he's a stand-up guy.
What did you make of him saying that he wanted to get something around 50 million to do it in the UK?
Again,
But what was your initial reaction to that?
it's fine. I've seen it a million times before. Like, people blow smoke in people's ears all the time. I know what was signed and what was agreed and what will stand up, contractually, and so does the whole people around them. So, but that's for Al and Tom Brown and to deal with their fighter, and he will be notified next week of where that venue will take place, and then we will start the procedure of putting the fight together. To be honest, if I'm Andy Ruiz, I think I'll win the fight by knockout again anyway. So it's not as if he's getting poor money for the rematch, and he wins a rematch. He's the biggest thing in boxing. So I would be jumping at a rematch if I was Andy Ruiz, unless he's as a reason why he don't want to fight Anthony Joshua again. But
So just to clarify, he has absolutely no say as to where the rematch takes place.
Again, I don't like. I mean, you're putting words into my mouth, but yeah,
Well, I'm just trying to clarify because people keep.
What I'm telling you is, which I've said in a million interviews, when you sign a rematch clause, all the things that we are discussing are taken care of within that contract. And it is our job to notify Andy Ruiz where that fight will take place. That should answer all your questions.
Okay. And lastly, I do want to ask you, what's the status right now with Callum Smith? We know that you said that you were potentially going to submit something back to Frank Warren for the Billy Joe Saunders fight. Is there any sort of update there?
No, not yet. I mean, we wanted the Canelo fight, which
Right.
obviously I don't think we were firmly in the running for, but he's now not going to fight till later in the year. Are we in the running for that fight again? Be nice. I think the Billy Joe Saunders fight is a good fight. I don't think it's as big as it could be, and fans don't really want to hear that because they just
They
want to
don't
see it
wanna
now.
hear
I know, but I have to tell you the truth. Like,
Yeah.
the offer that was made to Callum Smith is an offer that I would pay him to fight a normal fight. And I can't go to my fighter and say, do you want to take this kind of money to fight a unification fight against a Brit, and against a Brit that's very good? You know, Billy Joe's an excellent fighter. It's a great fight. Two great fighters. So we either have to get the right deal together for my fighter from Queensbury, so they've got to significantly increase their offer, or we've got to put an offer together. I know that Billy Joe's scheduled to box on September the 14th or whenever it is, and Callum is scheduled to box in September. So I do feel they'll have their fights in September, and then I think both guys are going to want to unify. Both guys are going to want to have career-defining fights. I'd just like it to be for a lot more money, because at the moment what was offered would be an impossible sell for me to sit down with my client and offer him that kind of money. I mean, I'd almost look like a fool for offering it to them, but he knows about it, and we're a bit bemused by the offer. I don't know if the offer was like, so they could come out and say, yeah, we've made him an offer, but the fans don't really want to hear the offer. You know, you can't have a conversation with fans, but the offer was terrible. Yeah, but we want to see it. Take the fight. It doesn't work like that in sport.
Yeah.
You're not going to take a tougher job for less money than you're on at the moment, you know? So I hope we can make the fight. I doubt it will be in September. And we'll continue to push for the Canelo fight for Callum Smith and see where we go.
All right, Ed, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you as always, and it's great to catch up.
It's been a minute.
It has been a minute. All right, thank you so much. Bye, fight fans.
Hey Fight fans, it's Michelle Joy Phelps. If you haven't already subscribed to our YouTube channel, make sure you do so by clicking this icon right here, or else